If you have your individual plan for employment or education, that's a place to start to talk to your child about what they want and what they hope to achieve.
Yes, I'm going.
One important aspect is to plan early in the education system as their child makes it through high school to anticipate whether their child is going to receive a certificate at the completion of high school or if they're going to receive an academic diploma. By having one of those two options in place, that's going to potentially change the trajectory of what kind of job the young adult could get in the adult world or what kind of services they may be eligible to receive. And so during high school, it's important to ask someone to be very clear about which track is my child on, and if they're on a track that they don't think is the appropriate one or the one that they don't think is the right fit for their child or their child's goals, to talk about what can I do to do something different, how can I approach this differently to have them be successful in whichever track is the right fit for them.
Whether it be 18 or 21, the IDA and the IEP is no longer there for you, and the entitlement ends. There are services that your child can possibly receive, but it's not going to be based on the entitlement. It's going to be based on eligibility to the particular agency or organization that you're going to. Many people don't even realize that the eligibility for certain things that they were eligible for with the same disability, they might not be eligible for as an adult. The disability didn't change, but the criteria for eligibility changes. So every state is a little bit different. It takes work on the family's part. You can talk to your vocational rehabilitation specialist. You can talk to the state agency that your child has been registered with. There should be a transition plan as part of your IEP meeting. Within that plan, you can start asking about the services available, and you can actually meet with people from those different agencies, put applications in before they leave school. If you have an 18-year-old male child, regardless of the disability, as long as they're not living in an institution, they are required, when they turn 18, to register for selective services. You and I both know the chances of them going into armed services is not likely, but they're 18 and that's part of their duty as an 18-year-old adult.
There are a range of vocational services available for young adults with disabilities. Some people may go on to college or some kind of post-secondary education in a certificate training program. Other young adults may go into a day program that's focused more on social recreational life. Services may be included, such as PT and OT. Another option is that someone could work in a warehouse or workshop environment where there are multiple people with disabilities working together, fulfilling certain roles of a job. People are typically in a workshop environment being paid on a piece rate basis, which means that based on how many steps they do in a task, they get paid based on that. There are some workshop environments or warehouse environments where someone's getting paid a minimum wage or a competitive wage to fulfill those tasks. Or someone may go into supported employment, which is where they have a job that may be broken into different tasks and multiple people may be doing that job to completion. The person may not be making a competitive wage, but they're getting paid based on what portion of the job they're completing. Someone would have a long-term job coach with them. It may not be someone standing directly next to them the entire day, but that job coach is available to help troubleshoot an issue or to work long-term with the person if there are some issues. Additionally, young adults may go on to customized employment or competitive employment. Competitive employment involves the person eventually earning a competitive wage just like their typical peer would. However, they may have a job coach on staff for a short period of time, and the young adult may have someone helping them build in natural supports in their work environment. So for example, who do I turn to when I have a bad day at work? If I'm getting nervous about something, which one of my peers who I work with can I go to as my safety person to say, I need a little help here? Someone may have a job coach for a temporary amount of time who helps get them acclimated and situated. Maybe will come in on a drop-in basis if there's an issue, but then that person fades out. Typically, a competitive employment situation has the person with a disability being employed just like anybody else. Supported employment has a long-term support connection to it. So we want to encourage young adults to think about going into competitive employment, recognizing that there may be some extra work that needs to be done initially, but that the goal is that they are working in the typical environment, earning a competitive wage just like their peer next to them.
In addition to possibly helping with payment of the college cost, they might help if your child needs an aid. They might help if your child needs a modification on a van to get to work or to get to school. Those are things to ask at the vocational rehab about what funding is available. Regardless of whether or not your child had SSI as a child, you should apply when they're 18 because the eligibility is not the same for when it was a child. They have a different eligibility for disability for when a person is 18. In their eyes, 18-year-old is an adult. Depending on your state where you live, legal adult is not 18 everywhere. It could be 18, 19, or 21 depending on the state. But for SSI, it's 18. One of the many places you can get the application, it could be state service centers or the Social Security office or online. There's a family to family in every state that can help people answer those kinds of questions about benefits and their rights and things like that. There's also the ADRC, which stands for Adult Disability Resource Centers. Most states you'll find that through the Division of Aging of your state. Different names, but it will definitely be called an ADRC. They have what they call an options counselor, where family to families have parents, those are run by parents. The ADRCs have options counselors, and they can answer a lot of those questions. There's websites that give information, and just remember that if you read something, you need to see if it's because it's a federal law or a state law.
I think the best advice I can give parents is to listen to your child as to what they want. And for children that are nonverbal and adults that are now also still nonverbal, we may try a few things, we may fail, but that's how we learn. If I take Bridget to something and I see that she's just sitting there and just not actively participating or listening, then I know that it's something she doesn't like, and it has to be trial and error. I have to expose her to as much as I can to see what it is she really wants to do in life.
If your child is in a day program and later on they are expressing that they would like to try something else, they can go back and either have their case reopened or start a case if they've never gone through the state folk rehab and try a form of employment. Like all of us who work, most of us don't stay with the same job and some of us change careers. They don't have to stay in the same place forever. They do have options.